can see my screen here. So, second semester. Now, Alexis, are you graduating this year or do you have a little bit more?
I graduate this June.
Okay, so last semester. And Camden, you're just getting good and started. All right, so I
Yep.
want to look at navigating Canvas first. So, just to give you an idea here, here is our physical science main page, and hopefully you should be able to get there. Remember, I'm showing in teacher mode, so you'll see things that you wouldn't see on yours. But the main thing is if there's any announcements that show up, they would also show up above the title here, or you could click here, but I don't have any right at the moment. You can click on today's activities. It takes you to modules. Your teacher, just some information about me. Click directly on the Google Meet picture and it will take you to the login for Google Meet. The syllabus, which we'll talk a little bit about. And then as I see people struggling on certain things with Canvas, there may be some Canvas help at that link there. And then other links will come available if there's other things that we need. I didn't mean to do that. That we need to do um, for class. So that's what other links is. Here's a little welcome video. If you want to listen to it, you can. You don't have to. And then here's all the objectives for physical science. We have this is kind of our plan right now through the 15th. The one thing that's a little bit different than what's up here is tomorrow we will have Google Meets. Normally on Fridays, they want us to have Google Meets like we're doing today tomorrow. So we
All
will
right.
be on those times.
So we have a Google Meet tomorrow.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
next Friday, we will not. It'll be more of an independent day of working on assignments. But tomorrow we do for each of your classes, just like today.
All right.
Hopefully on the 19th, we'll go back to our face-to-face sessions, which is, you have the A day and the B day, or you come every day.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll get back the 19th, unless they decide that we need to stay on this plan a little longer. So you can do one of two things. On your side, you will only see home grades modules. And when I have announcements over on the left-hand side here, you can always click on today's activities and it'll take you to modules. And Camden, you're used to this. There'll always be an attendance, whether we're here face to face or you are remote. It is
Yeah.
worth 0 points because it is extra credit. So you do this because it marks you as submitting something in Canvas. And so when I go to check to see if you logged on to Canvas, by doing that registers your logging on, and so that will help me ensure that I count you present for that day. Um, and then the items underneath are the things that I want us to be able to do today. We're not going to get through all of them. And notice a little bit different, and you should see this in all your classes. We're now including the amount of time it should take you for each item. Um, for me, if you have a star, 1 star is anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to do. 2 stars is between 10 and 30 minutes, and 3 stars would be over 30 minutes to complete. The little eyes that you'll see on some of them, that
Hmm.
is showing that is something that you are going to have to read or maybe listen to. And then we're going to have our dates up here. And so for modules, we're doing week 1, week 2, week 3. I chose to do week 1 here. Some teachers are choosing to start week 1 next week. So that might be a little different per class. Um, and you may not see the second week that I have up here because you have to, I've set it to where you can't go to the next module until you've completed everything. That means if it even has eyeballs on it, you have to click and go to that page for it to register a completion. So just make sure that you've done that. So for today, you need to do the attendance and you need to do the introduction. They're pretty much very similar there with the introduction because it's the discussion. You will need to respond to someone once you do your reply. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the class syllabus. And then there's a form and student information that you'll do. We will not get to these other two items here. So let me go back to this sheet for a minute. I want to talk about expectations a minute. And you may have seen this in your other classes. I'm going to share with you what we as a staff came up with. So we're wanting to come up with classroom expectations or things to follow in the classroom, but we want you guys to have some input in it. So here's some things that we came up with as teachers, and each teacher either showed this or came up with a blank one, and you for you to come up with some ideas. So for being considerate for behaviors, here are 3 things: being kind, keeping hands and objects to yourself, refraining from horseplay and name calling. Being responsible means submitting or turning in assignments on time, listening to and following directions or instructions. Respectful actions, using appropriate language, respecting others' contributions. Being productive, meaning staying on task, putting 100% effort in 100% of the time. And just so you know, your 100% might look a little bit different from somebody else's 100%, but the effort that you can give needs to be your 100%, and then trying before you're asking for help. So attempt an assignment and then ask for help so you have specific questions. Is there anything you want to change about that? Like I said, we as a group came up with it. So if there's anything you want to change or want to add, I can write it down on the side here and we can put it together in a final document. Does that all sound all right for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a piece. There's several others. We're only going to do one a day because I don't want to go through all this all at one time. So that's sort of what we looked at here. If I come up, think of some other things, I may add them and run it by you, but none of my classes has wanted to add anything yet. Tickets, hopefully, if you've been in other classes, you know about your tickets. So you guys each get a ticket for logging on. And I had one student already submit something in class, but she's not logged on. And then we'll do drawing at the end. So I'm sure you've heard from other teachers kind of what you can do for this. So let me get my little cheat sheet up here. So arriving on time to your Google Meets, answering questions, asking thought-provoking questions, engaging with your peers, submitting assignments on time, keeping your camera on for the meeting. Or that's not a requirement. I do want to show real quick if you would like to do your camera. Let me go back over here. If you don't know this, you can go down to the 3 little dots down here. When you click on it, you can change your background. So, for example, in mine, it's going to take my little face away here in a minute. Like maybe I want these clouds here. And so notice that it puts me in front of those clouds. If you, I think you can see me there. A lot of times you may see me with this one because I like to, that's just relaxing to me. Or I may use the beach one, except a lot of times it just makes me look like I'm hanging in the trees, depending on how I'm sitting and so forth. But if you want to put a background on, feel free to do so. And then you can have your camera on. Like I said, you don't have to have your camera on, but if you would like, if you do, you can earn some or a ticket for it. And what we'll do is before we get off, I'll draw a name, and then I haven't figured out how to share the spinner. We'll share the spinner and or I'll spin it for you, and then that'll be sort of what you get. And then the names that aren't drawn, you will get your name put in the school-wide pot for a drawing that Miss Kruger will do at some point for some type of an award there or a prize. Let me see. All right, so if you want to, while we are on, and if you haven't done the attendance, you can open that in another little tab, and you go ahead and do it. It's a text box, so if I put this in student view, remember with text box, you have to click submit assignment, and then you get your text box here, and notice it says one complete sentence. So what would be your goal for this semester? And you would type it in one complete sentence, and then you would click submit. And so everybody that does this, you get at least one extra credit point for that. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you can right now, or you can do it as soon as we get off. You get your attendance for being on, but this earns you at least an extra credit point. And the next, yes, I know. And then the next thing is the introduction, which is very similar to that. It's going to have you do your goal, but this is an example of a discussion box. So you would click reply, and you would type your name. You would type the goal, the same thing you put in the attendance. Tell me one thing you struggled with remote learning, and then optional, you can tell me something you did over break. And so, but notice I want them in complete sentences. So you would say, my name is, write your name, period. My goal is, fill it out, period. This is what I struggle with for remote learning, period. Once you click reply, you will see other students. I have 2 physical science classes, so we're all together on the same Canvas. And so you would need to reply to one other student in a minimum of 1 sentence. And so maybe they have the same struggle you have with remote learning, or maybe y'all happen to do the same thing over break or have the same goal. So create a sentence that responds back and post that reply. So you can go ahead and do that if you want, if you put it in another tab. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the syllabus, and then I'm going to show you the student information sheet. And then the last 2 items we're going to deal with tomorrow. I wasn't sure how much we would get done in one class time. Texting, this is my number here, the 704-389-0267 is my texting number. You can text me at that number if you do not mind me having your number. Or if you don't want your cell number to show up, you can join the Remind class here, and you can actually text the number. This would be the number that's like the phone number, 81010, and you would put in the message the @ then we call it the email sign @to Noelle class, and then that will join you to that, and we can text that way if you don't want your number to show up. And I'll try to go in and add how you would actually text it so you wouldn't have to go through the website. You can get their app as well, but you don't necessarily have to have the app. But email will also work as well, but I find that being able to text you sometimes helps with communication. Physical science, we're going to look at chemistry and physics. And when we get into both of these we have a lot of math that goes on. So this is one science where we have a lot of math that works with our science. So if you remember how to access the Desmos calculator online, if you don't have a calculator at home, that would probably be helpful. Just remember, for attendance, you need to have signed in, joined our Google Meet, or done something on Canvas by 2:30 every day to be present. And so when face-to-face, that's real simple. You get your attendance for being here. But anytime you're working from home, make sure that you've joined Google Meet or you have submitted something by 2:30. I'm going to try to have my classes live so that the days that you're home, if you log in at the same time as class, you can hear my class going on. And I'll also record it and have it posted so you can see it. Once we get back to where we're meeting face-to-face, these are our times, I believe, except I think that's right. And everything while we're remote is in Canvas. So you're going to have to submit things in Canvas. And if you're not familiar with how to use Kami and things like that, we'll step you through that. But once we are face-to-face, I'll do kind of like we did before and give you the option of having your notes and some of the things on paper in class. And then I'll just add the grade in without you having to submit something. But most of it will be done on Canvas. Notice that the majority of your grade, the highest percentage is your test, and your classwork is 45%. If you do all your classwork and do it well, it will counteract some of your lower test grades, because I know some students don't test well, and then you have your exam. I did have a student who actually failed both quarters last semester with in the high 50s, but made a C on the exam and still passed for the year. So that is possible, but I wouldn't recommend counting on that. I would try to do make sure you're doing your classwork on a regular basis. There will be unit recovery opportunities, and I may see if I can assign those throughout the semester instead of it being there at the end as well. Most of your work should take you anywhere from 60 to no more than 75 minutes. Usually it's going to be a lot less than that, but I try to plan for what would be a normal class time. I'm trying to think anything else. For right now, I think that's it. But you do want to make sure you read through this, because next week you're going to have a little quiz that's going to involve some questions from the syllabus. It's going to involve some questions on the scientific method that we're going to talk about tomorrow. So let me go back to modules. We'll always take you back to today's activities. So if you did attendance when we talked about it, you did the introduction, then you've got those done today. We've talked about the syllabus. I'm going to show you the student information. And Camden, yes, just go ahead and do it again for me, even though you did it last semester. So fill this in. Like Camden, I have your stepmom's number, so you could just put here you already have. You don't have to type the number, but it'd be nice to have a parent or guardian number so that I could have somebody to communicate to. So you're just answering these. When you're done, you're submitting. And if it's got an asterisk by it, you have to do it. If it doesn't have an asterisk, like right here, this last one, you don't have to put anything there. And then click submit. And that's pretty much all for today. Tomorrow, we're going to pick up with the notes. So we'll do the notes together, and then you will just have it may look at a little bit of the practice, and you will just have the video to kind of do on your own. I'm going to move this last thing to the next week. because we'll do it together. And I think that's it. So let me get back here. All right, so any questions on anything? We good? Does everybody know how to open up a new tab if you're on Google Meet and you can click off? I mean, you can still have Google Meet going, but you're working on another tab, or you can shrink your screen so you can see two things. So if you need help with that, I can try to talk you through that when we get there so that you can fill in stuff as we go over it tomorrow. That's all I have. Any questions? So I have Ariana, I have on here because she's actually submitted something even though she's not on Meet. So I have 3 names here, so I'm going to pick one. So in my little cup here, let's see. Oh, it's actually Ariana. So what you would normally do is you would go, I would come up here. We have a spinner. I haven't figured out how to share it out, but we spin it. And so, oh, that's on a line. I'm going to do it one more time. All right, a 1-day deadline extension. So if something was due today and she wanted to use this, she could turn it in the next day. These little things may change as we find out what they motivate students. So Lexus and Camden, your name's going to go into the pile I'm going to give to Miss Kruger, who will do a drawing at some point. And so the more times you can get your name into a drawing, the better. It increases your chance. She had mentioned things like maybe a gift certificate for a Wendy's Frosty, or, you know, things that she can come up like that. Oh, trying to click on the wrong computer. So we'll try to do that, maybe not every day, but at least for to start with, it'll be every day, but then it'll probably work down to probably once a week. We'll do something with the tickets, so you'll have more opportunities to get your name in at one time. So any questions about anything?
No.
All right. Well, we are good. That's for today, but we are on tomorrow. So tomorrow at noon, and we're going to do notes tomorrow.
All right.
So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.
All right, because I got to leave.
Okay.